Hello, YouTube. This is Largo64 with episode 6 of Letters from the Earth by Mark Twain. I'm going to read the last paragraph from the previous episode. By help of those visiting foreigners, and here he's talking of Nephilim, the population grew and grew until it numbered several millions. But it was a disappointment to the deity. He was dissatisfied with its morals, which in some respects were not any better than his own. Indeed, they were an unflatteringly close imitation of his own. They were very bad people, and as he knew no way to reform them, he wisely concluded to abolish them. This is the only really enlightened and superior idea his Bible has credited him with, and it would have made his reputation for all time if he could only have kept to it and carried it out. But he was always unstable, except in his advertisements, and his good resolution broke down. He took a pride in man. Man was his finest invention. Man was his pet, after the housefly, and he could not bear to lose him wholly, so he finally decided to save a sample of him and drown the rest. Nothing could be more characteristic of him. He created all those infamous people, and he alone was responsible for their conduct. Not one of them deserved death, yet it was certainly good policy to extinguish them, especially since in creating them the master crime had already been committed, and to allow them to go on procreating would be a distinct addition to the crime. But at the same time, there could be no justice, no fairness in any favoritism. All should be drowned, or none. No, he would not have it so. He would save a half dozen and try the race over again. He was not able to foresee that it would go rotten again, for he is only the far-sighted one in his advertisements. He saved out Noah and his family and arranged to exterminate the rest. He planned an ark, and Noah built it. Neither of them had ever built an ark before, nor knew anything about arks, and so something out of the common was to be expected. It happened. Noah was a farmer, and although he knew that what was required of the ark was quite incompetent to say whether this one would be large enough to meet the requirements or not, which it wasn't, so he ventured no advice. The deity didn't know it wasn't large enough, but he took the chances and made no adequate measurements. In the end, the ship fell far short of the necessities, and to this day the world still suffers for it. Noah built the ark. He built it the best he could, but he left out most of the essentials. It had no rudder, it had no sails, it had no compass, it had no pumps, it had no charts, no lead lines, no anchors, no log, no light, no ventilation. And as for cargo room, which was the main thing, the less said about that, the better. It was to be at sea 11 months and would need fresh water enough to fill 2 arks of its size, yet the additional ark was not provided. Water from outside could not be utilized. Half of it would be salt water, and men and land animals could not drink it. For not only was a sample of man to be saved, but business samples of the other animals too. You must understand that when Adam ate the apple in the garden and learned how to multiply and replenish, the other animals learned the art too. By watching Adam. It was cunning of them. It was neat, for they got all that was worth having out of the apple without tasting it and afflicting themselves with the disastrous moral sense, the parent of all immoralities. Letter 5. Noah began to collect animals. There was to be one couple of each and every sort of creature that walked or crawled or swam or flew in the world of animated nature. We have to guess how long it took to collect the creatures and how much it cost, for there is no record of these details. When Symmachus made preparation to introduce his young son to grown-up life in imperial Rome, he sent men to Asia, Africa, and everywhere to collect wild animals for the arena fights. It took the men 3 years to accumulate the animals and fetch them to Rome. Merely quadrupeds and alligators, you understand. No birds, no snakes, no frogs, no worms, no lice, no rats, no fleas, no ticks, no caterpillars, no spiders, no houseflies, no mosquitoes. Nothing but just plain simple quadrupeds and alligators, and no quadrupeds except fighting ones. Yet it was, as I have said, it took 3 years to collect them, and the cost of animals and transportation and the men's wages footed up $4.5 million. How many animals? We do not know, but it was under 5,000, for that was the largest number ever gathered for those Roman shows, and it was Titus, not Symmachus, who made that collection. Those were mere baby museums compared to Noah's contract. Of birds and beasts and freshwater creatures, he had to collect 146,000 kinds, and of insects, upwards of 2 million species. Thousands and thousands of those things are very difficult to catch. And if Noah had not given up and resigned, he would be on the job yet, as Leviticus used to say. However, I do not mean that he withdrew. No, he did not do that. He gathered as many creatures as he had room for and then stopped. If he had known all the requirements in the beginning, he would have been aware that what was needed was a fleet of arks. But he did not know how many kinds of creatures there were. Neither did his chief. So he had no kangaroo and no possum and no Gila monster and no ornithornicus, and lacked a multitude of other indispensable blessings which a loving Creator had provided for man and forgotten about, they having long ago wandered to a side of the world which he had never seen and with whose affairs he was not acquainted. And so every one of them came within a hair of getting drowned. They only escaped by accident. There was not water enough to go around. Only enough was provided to flood one small corner of the globe. The rest of the globe was not then known and was supposed to be non-existent. However, the thing that really and finally and definitely determined Noah to stop with enough species for purely business purposes and let the rest become extinct was an incident of the last days. An excited stranger arrived with some most alarming news. He said he had been camping among some mountains and valleys about 600 miles away, and he had seen a wonderful thing there. He stood up upon a billowy black sea of strange animal. He stood upon a precipice overlooking a wide valley, and up the valley was a billowy black sea of strange animal life coming. Presently the creatures passed by, struggling, fighting, scrambling, screeching, snorting, horrible vast masses of tumultuous flesh, sloths as big as an elephant, frogs as big as a cow, a Magotherium and his harem, huge beyond belief, saurians and saurians and saurians, group after group, family after family, species after species, 100 feet long, 30 feet high, and twice as quarrelsome. One of them hit a perfectly blameless Durham bull a thump with its tail and sent it whizzing 300 feet into the air, and it fell at the man's feet with a sigh and was no more. The man said that those prodigious animals had heard about the ark and were coming to get saved from the flood, and not coming in pairs. They were all coming. They did not know the passengers were restricted to pairs, the man said, and wouldn't care a rap for regulations anyway. They would sail with that ark or know the reason why. The man said the ark would not hold the half of them, and moreover, they were coming hungry and would eat up everything there was, including the menagerie and the family. All these facts were suppressed in the biblical accounts. And it's almost over now, so I'm going to stop there and take it up in episode number 7. Thanks for watching.